So I've been doing this breathing practice that I call hosing for about a decade, and it's using a long snorkel, like 5 or 6 feet to breathe underwater. And it's just interesting because it applies, pressure to your air bladder, your lungs, and yeah. So, but it took me a while to. I finally figured out how to seal off the nose, so that I can snorkel through the nose, 3 or 4 feet down, and not have to pinch this off with a nose plug, right? Because of all the, all the reasons that you would breathe through your nose if you're doing, some sort of breath work or meditation are still there when hosing. But it's been, exceedingly difficult for me to engineer a system, especially with my beard, because I don't like to shave, but to engineer a system where you could get a good seal around the nose so that you could do these relaxed breaths with the sinus cavity and with the head as part of the kinetic chain, and not to have that pinched off by breathing through the mouth. And holy crap, like if you're at all interested in yoga or breath work, and you really want to understand things at an incredibly deep level, as if you had studied with a master, not this thing where you like read some books or interact with people online or whatever. Like if you want to understand breathing and the occult and sorcery and religion and consciousness and focus, like if you really want to experientially understand that through firsthand experience, this technique, this setup, like I can teach you to do it with commercially available equipment and material, teaches you how to expand your consciousness, truly physically expand it into the space around you and into the space inside of you. And it, like, no matter how well you understand that game, there's some physics and there's some mechanics involved here that it's like, how like it would be very difficult to levitate or to float on land, or maybe it's very difficult to do a triple flip on land. You need springs or something maybe, but in water, if you're in the medium of water, you can do all that stuff so easily. You can float very easily and fly. You can do an unlimited number of flips without touching the ground. And so there's states and positions of consciousness that are like just as, it's possible outside of the water, and you can do it with a lot of like luck and genetics and training and effort and discipline, and you can get there. But the water, provides so much balance and so much focus that certain states of consciousness and just breath patterns and other stuff are just suddenly accessible, as if there was like doing a pull-up with a stretch band under your feet, or a Pilates machine, like a Pilates reformer, how it like either applies or removes just enough weight to get you to activate those hard to cue muscles that are like maybe atrophied. This setup like does all of that for like all of the breathing things. There's so many techniques that I could just spoon feed you piecemeal, and I could that are so much more effective than anything out there. But ultimately, like this setup of doing the training and using the nasal breathing plus the water as a telescope, as a microscope, as a force amplifier, as a simple machine, as a gearing ratio, as a crowbar, as a medium by which to apply mechanical advantage to your consciousness and to your breath, you can effectively yeah, I like kind of joke about this. It's kind of serious, but you can effectively amplify your intelligence. You can amplify your IQ. So anything that you're working on, you can bring this to bear on it, and you will understand it better than you do. The same way that no matter, like, you could be looking at something in the distance, and like if somebody gives you a telescope, you'll see it better. And so it doesn't, like, there's no way that this doesn't radically level up, you know, whoever you are at whatever level, because it's impossible to do what you could do without using water this way. And nobody's really doing it. Like, if you everyone that's like studying water is you either have a scuba tank on, so the air is pressurized and you're not breathing. The machine is breathing for you. The pressurized air is breathing for you when you are using scuba. Or, so you're not breathing. Like, you might be underwater to a great depth or whatever, and the water helps you focus and all that, but you're not breathing. Something else is breathing for you. The mechanical energy stored in the scuba tank. So it's like the machine that pumped the air into the tank back on land is breathing. So it's like you're not really participating at that level. And then the only other way that people do this sort of thing is to hold their breath, right? So you're like deep sea diving, and like maybe something's not breathing for you, but you're also not breathing at all. You're holding your breath. And so this way of being in water, but actually doing the breathing and being a substantial amount in water, like maybe all the way submerged, and able to control your buoyancy with your nose. Like, imagine being able to control your posture and your buoyancy with your, as you breathe into your brain, basically. Anyway, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. There's a lot of information there. And then there's a lot of like lightness of being, buoyancy. It automatically focuses you. It automatically centers you. It automatically aligns you. It automatically does all these things. So like while you're there in that state, you're automatically doing things correctly. And then that correctness or that balance leads itself to an increase in perception, an increase in consciousness, and you can solve or understand problems or mysteries, or see through mysteries. How did that person get to be talented? How did they get to be athletic? How did they get to be smart? How did they learn to read? How did they learn to think? All these things are kind of like mysteries. People notice these things develop, or they happen in response to various types of like training or stimulus, but they fundamentally don't participate often. So it's like it's the setup with the water and the hose and the depth is like a mechanical simple machine, a force amplifier, a wheel, a hydraulic pressure differential. It's like that, but with participation of the breath. So it's how to leverage the participation that you have with your breath on reality. Like an example would be underwater. If you normally when you breathe in here, you don't notice any change, but underwater you can be exhale there on the bottom and inhale until you that inhale or that breath in, it can move your entire body. Your entire body can start to rise up or levitate or float simply because of the connection between the mind, the body, and the breathing. And so when you feel that, you feel how the breath is truly connected to all those things, because it can, like, the breath can float the entire body. So the breath is enveloping, encompassing, and engaging with the entire body. And then doing that, you can see that. So then the breath becomes like that all the time.